course, all about the scare. But when you're going through a divorce, you want things to be as least spooky as possible.
To help us answer the questions we may be too scared to ask, we have Jody Turzich and Shannon Ort from the law offices of Turzich and Ort. Thanks for both being here.
Good morning.
Divorce isn't easy.
No.
It's hard. A lot of questions people don't know if they can ask, if it's appropriate to ask, maybe it's insensitive to ask. One of the main ones is like, can you move out? How is, you know what I mean? Like, do we move out? Do we stay together? How do we navigate all of this? So what do you tell people with these types of questions?
So no one is mandated to stay in the marital residence, right? But there's lots of consequences of a person saying, I'm going to move out, right? So it warrants a lot of conversation about what are the consequences? Who's going to pay the mortgage? When am I going to see the kids if I agree to voluntarily move out? So no one's prohibited from making those kind of decisions, but I think the conversation is much broader about what does it look like if we do this? Can we afford to be in separate homes? And how do we cash flow, because everybody's still obligated on all these household expenses, but nobody's obligated at the same time to contribute to the other's expenses. So it's a complicated question that probably warrants just some major conversations.
Yeah, and if there are kids involved and you do the move out bit, like at this very moment, then you've got to start getting into where the kids are going to go, which is probably one of the more complex issues of all of it, right?
Correct, and especially when people aren't on the same page.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a much larger question, and people, reasonably so, want to be reassured that they can see their children and that they can maintain that contact. So it's a much larger question, as Shannon said.
And then if you think about the kids and where they're going and who they're living with, you think about support, right? Child support, spousal support. When can you get that? When can you ask for that? Is it okay to ask for it?
Certainly. I mean, we think that, you know, there, as Shannon said, somebody's got to pay the mortgage on the house. The expenses need to be paid. So that is a question that is being asked and being answered. The courts do have a process available. It's a temporary hearing, and so you can ask during the pendency of a divorce. You can ask your judicial officer to make a decision about child support, spousal maintenance, where the kids are, all on a temporary basis. That said, it's not a speedy process. It may take you some time to get into court, and then the judge can take up to 3 months to make that decision. So lots of times the push is actually to forego those temporary hearings and to try to find a solution to resolve the entire divorce.
I think a lot of the people just the process probably scares them to the point. I mean, I know people who just haven't gotten the divorce because they're like, we're not going to mess with it. But I mean, you should go through. I mean, at some point, you're like, well, we're going to take care of this or not. Kind of walk us through the process a little bit.
So I would agree with you that fear is a huge motivator to either do or not do something, right? To like move forward and I think that's when people behave badly, right? Typically, people are fearful. When am I going to see my kids? What is this going to look like financially? And so when you're that fear-based, then you start behaving badly and making poor decisions. But understanding the process, what are my rights? What are my obligations? What does the time frame look like? Is an important piece, right? Most of the time you can resolve some of those fears by just having some knowledge, right? So understanding how to file and what the time periods look like so that you're informed, I think will reduce a lot of that fear.
How long does it typically take from beginning to end for a divorce proceeding? And I'm sure there's not a general time. I feel like my parents, it took years, you know?
The courts don't want you to be in this process, especially children, for years, right? So there are pushes to get in and have decisions made early in your case. So people who come in with agreements could be divorced in a relatively short period of time, a month or two. If there are no agreements and you're using professionals to help assess what the best custody situation is, what the financial situation looks like, what values of businesses might be, then you're looking at a longer process that could take, you know, up to 18 months if you have a trial and then the court having to make a decision after that.
Husband, wife, renting a house, no kids, probably pretty quick and easy. The more kids you have, the more properties you have, the more life together. So does it benefit someone to initiate the divorce? Is there a benefit to being the person who kind of starts the process, or no?
No, there is no benefit in being the petitioner or the respondent. That's an equal playing field, so we don't have to worry about that. Certainly, if people live in different judicial districts, the petitioner you might see filing in the judicial district where they live as opposed to the district where the respondent lives. But the laws in Minnesota are the same from district to district. So that's simply just a convenience issue. And today, most of our hearings are via Zoom. Only a very few trials are in person. So the convenience factor really is pretty minimal at this time as well.
Oh, really? I guess I didn't realize that a lot of that could be done that way, which it makes it speedier.
On a day like today, it's really helpful. People aren't trying to commute to the courthouse and park, and certainly it's more cost effective, I think, is the biggest thing that we've seen, is that people can log in, attend a hearing, not have to take a full day off of work, and be able to log in and out, and it allows efficiency and cost effectiveness. Certainly once we get to a trial where we're assessing credibility, judges then want people in person so I can see you and I can get to know you and I can understand the case.
Makes sense.
Well, Jody, Shannon, thank you so much.
Thanks. Good to see you guys.
Appreciate
Happy
you both
Halloween.
coming in.
Same to you.
Safe travels.
Thanks.
Today. Hey, if you need advice about divorce, Jody and Shannon are certainly here to help you. Their phone number is right there on your screen. We also have it posted at minnesotalive.com to make it easy.